Good afternoon, everybody. It's Bob Turner. We're finally back with our next episode of the Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things podcast. We came over here to Falmouth today to connect with Skylar Welch from Maine Pointe Lending. Skylar is originally from Eastport, Maine, a Downeaster. Downeaster. Grew up in Eastport and now lives in Falmouth. She's married to her husband, Brian. They have 3 kids, and I know all their names because I've watched them grow up on Instagram.
I know.
So we got Kai, Harbor, and Luna, who just had her first dance recital, right?
She did.
Saw that. So in the times of social media, which we'll touch on here in a little bit, you really can kind of get to know somebody without even really being part of their life.
I mean, I feel like I've known you since I was pregnant with my first baby.
Right.
Though.
Yeah.
Really?
I was trying to think about how long we've known each other.
Yeah.
It was BNI and Wyndham, and you're just pregnant with Kai, I think.
He just turned 10.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
Time flies.
I
And time
know.
does fly because I said when we started this, we'd try to do one every week, and we missed a couple of weeks, so we're back. So thank you for getting us back on track. We'll have to do a little double time to catch up maybe. But so Skylar's a mortgage broker. She owns and operates Maine Pointe Lending right here in Falmouth. This is, I think, year 3 now of this new business.
2020, so not quite. Yeah.
Okay.
We're in year 2.
Yep. So you're licensed in 5 states.
Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Florida. Six now.
So I've seen you got all kinds of awards. You've spoken nationally on things related to mortgage, but also recently on building your team,
Right.
which I thought was kind of cool. I would have loved to have been there. But yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this business and kind of how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been a mortgage broker now since 2011, which is kind of crazy. Actually, I guess I technically got licensed in 2012, got in the mortgage industry in 2011, and really just hit the ground running and started. I worked as an assistant until 2015, but I started originating before that. So I just kind of got my feet wet and loved the industry and realized really quickly that I'm all in, right? So it's such a relationship business and it's something different every single day, and it's so fast paced, and you're really helping people. And that's really, I think, what I love so much about it is really helping people through the entire process and not just being, a call center or something I love holding the client's hand, taking them from start to finish and really seeing them reap the rewards of becoming a homeowner.
That's cool. One of the things I've noticed about you, and I guess I have really known you for most of your working life.
Yeah, my whole thing.
I've just always said, man, she works hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen you, picture Brian takes of you passed out on the couch with your daughter laying here and the laptop tipped over.
Yep.
And you're doing stuff at 9 o'clock at night, and you're just killing it. You're doing it on the weekends. You make yourself available to people,
All the
anytime.
time. Yeah, have to.
And so that's pretty cool. So that can be consuming. So how do you balance all that with, being a mother of 3 and wife and having a household and running a business? And
Yeah, I mean it's a lot, and honestly, I don't like to say that I have a work-life balance because I don't think I'll ever have a work-life balance, but I think it's more of a work-life harmony, right? Like what works for me, what works for my family.
Yeah.
And that's something I've been trying to figure out for a long time. I mean, I would say the first 8 years of my career, it was a grind. You put in every single ounce of you into this, and I was working crazy hours and all these things, but over the last year and a half, I've really transitioned to growing a really awesome team that's able to not only handle the volume of business that we're doing, but really able to allow me to really specialize on what I'm best at with helping the client, structuring the loan, having the communication with everyone, and putting out the fires and those types of things. Those are what I'm best served doing, while building a team that's really able to give the same level of experience and really mortgage transformation, mortgage experience to every person the same time. Because the hard thing is like when you get crazy busy, you may not be able to give the same level of experience to everyone. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to be sure that every single person that came to us had the same experience. They were treated like they were our only client. And that's really what we focus on doing is making sure everyone feels like they're literally our only client, that they have our full attention, that if they need a pre-qualification letter, 5 a day, they're going to get 5 a day. If they need something at 8 o'clock on Sunday night, they're going to get that. Friday night, a client reached out to me, and I had a very crazy weekend. Like he said, I'm a mom of 3. I had my 7-year-old's birthday party. I had a track meet. I had 2 baseball games. I had 2 dance recital dress rehearsals, and then I had the actual dance recital all between Saturday and Sunday. Friday night, I had a baseball game, all these things. So a client reached out to me at 6:30 on Friday night, and I was actually just leaving the office, and they're like, hey, I need to get pre-qualified. I need to put these offers in right away. So I sent them the application, which is super easy. I can just text it to them quickly. I can email it to them quickly. And they filled it out. By the time I got home, it was all worked up. I went in, popped in, worked everything up, got them the letters they needed. And she called me this morning and said she's under contract on this property, and she wouldn't have been able to make that happen if I wasn't able to get that, because we're in a really competitive market. And if you need a pre-qualification letter over the weekend and your bank doesn't answer the phone, you're not going to win that property. And that's something that's really important on the service side and really important for our clients, is that we make ourselves available for that and get them what they need so that they can make a competitive offer. I also took the time, a realtor reached out to me on Saturday. She's like, hey, need you to call a listing agent. I sent her a picture of my pool filled with 35 kids.
I saw that photo.
A foam party, balloons everywhere.
I want to come to your house for the birthday party.
I go, current situation.
Yep, right.
And I go, call her in 5. I went in, called the listing agent really quickly and just said, hey, this bar was super strong. Everything looks great. You are good to go, and we'll get this done for you really quickly, just to ease their mind. So, that's the type of service that we want to provide for all of our clients. And that itself is why we've been able to grow and why I've been able to continue to grow my business year after year, because that's the type of service that we provide. And we're a small local company. Like, our reputation is everything. And I think that's really important for people to realize is that it's not just all about, throwing something against the wall and seeing if it sticks.
How are you different from a bank? Like, if somebody needs a mortgage, they say, well, I guess go to the bank and get a mortgage.
Right.
But you guys you're a mortgage broker, you're your own company. Mm-hmm. What's different, and what would make someone come here versus go just walk into a bank
that's
and
a really
say,
great
I'd like
question.
to buy a house?
So a mortgage broker, so the difference between working with a mortgage broker and working with a bank is that a bank has their one set of programs, their one set of rates, their one set of turn times, all of that. We're working with a mortgage broker, we're able to shop multiple lenders, multiple banks to find the best available rate and program for you. So rather than having to try to stick you in a box that we have, say, I have a lot of clients come to me and say, hey, I was doing a conventional 20% down loan. I'm like, okay, is that what you want to do? They're like, well, I really only have 5% down, so I might not be able to buy for a couple of years. I'm like, well, why don't you do a conventional 5% down loan? They're like, I didn't know that was an option. Well, it's always an option. You know what I mean? So we have a lot of different loan options. And, some lenders might like really high credit score, while others don't really care as much about the credit score. Yeah. So I can really differentiate and put in, rather than try to figure out what's the best option for me, I have to find what's the best option for the client. And that's really the difference. Also, we don't work bankers' hours. Like we said, we're always available. Yeah. Our turn times are super fast. Most banks right now, I think, are on like 6 weeks.
What's turn time? How fast to get approved?
Yeah, approved to clear or close. So our average approval time is 24 hours. That's not even average. That every loan is approved within 24 hours.
How does that compare to a bank?
I think they're usually a couple weeks.
Okay.
At least a week.
Somebody could lose a deal or two in that
time.
And
what's super important about that as well is that if there are problems, we don't know a week later. Right. We don't know 2 weeks later. Right. We know right away. We also pre-underwrite every file. So as soon as we get someone pre-qualified, we immediately order their verification of employments. We immediately scrub their tax returns. We immediately request their pay stubs. Because I don't want someone getting under contract and then saying, oh, sorry, we have a problem, right? We've already done that. We've already done the legwork in the front end. I don't care if we're doing all of this work and it never turns into anything. Once it does, we're ready to go. And that also expedites the process. It makes the process so much faster and so much smoother because we've already done all the legwork.
Yeah. Well, we were talking a little bit before Mitchell turned the camera on and we went live. And one of the things you were mentioning is things are a little different today than say they were a year ago or even 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Talk about the current climate with regard to mortgages and rates and what you've seen in the last couple months and maybe kind of what you see going forward. Like, everybody wants that crystal ball, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, this market, like I said, I've been doing this since 2011 and this is a market I've never seen before. One of the obstacles is that we've had pretty low not just pretty low, very low inventory. The good news is inventory is starting to pick up. In the spring market, inventory does start to get better. But interest rates have also risen. Interest rates are higher than they've been in, I think it's like 18 years is the highest. But guess what, guys? Rates are still low. Rates are still not where they could be, So rates are still in a good place, but people are scared, and people are kind of to the point where like, well, I want a rate in the 2s. I'm going to wait till they go back to the 2s. Well, guess what? They may never go back to the 2s, right? So right now it's tough because it's low inventory and higher rates. People are on the fence, but over the last few weeks, we've been seeing an increase in inventory and a slowdown in people getting pre-qualified to buy. What that means is those people that have been really serious about buying over the last several months that maybe haven't been able to get into a property because of such a competitive situation, this is a great time to jump. This right now is a great time to jump in because inventory is rising and the buyer count is down a little bit. So
do you find that, and maybe this is more of a real estate question, but everything, I hear people say, yeah, there were 100 offers on that house. So they're bidding wars, right?
Yeah.
So at some point, that price goes above where appraisal or where it would need to stand on its own 2 feet for the average Joe, not somebody that's going to stroke a check for $150K over asking price. How does that affect what you do and when people are approved?
I mean, I would say that honestly, the most common question I've been getting over the last month, 2 months, appraisal gap. What is an appraisal gap? Why am I being asked to put an appraisal gap? Most offers right now are offering some sort of appraisal gap. So what that means is, say the property is listed at $450, but you offer $475. If the house were not to appraise for that, the options would be you go back to the seller and renegotiate, or you bring the difference. Potentially, you could lower your down payment amount and just change the loan to value.
I see.
But people are wondering, like, why are they having to do that? Well, the reason is it's a competitive market, and in order for your offer at $475 to stand, you have to guarantee that you're going to pay $475 regardless of what the appraisal comes in. So a lot of people are like, well, if I'm already putting 20% down, then now I'm going to have to bring that $25,000 extra? Yes.
You want it or not.
Or what we're doing a lot is you don't have to put 20% down. You could put 10% down. You could put 5% down.
I get you.
Now,
so you're closing that gap by lowering the down payment.
You're putting the same exact amount of money into the transaction, but now you're going to have a little PMI for a little bit. Who cares? The PMI right now, we offer some of the lowest PMI in the country. I just worked one up for someone. Their PMI was $28 a month. It's not these hundreds of dollars that people
PMI
think.
is private mortgage insurance, and you have to pay it when your position is less than 20% of the property. Is that right?
Yep, and then it will automatically fall off once you have 20% equity. But say the appraisal were to come in just a little bit low, now you're at, let's just say maybe you're at 87% or something like that. You're only going to have that for a little bit, right? And it's only, $20, $30, $40 a month.
Yeah.
Is that worth buying the house for?
Right.
Another conversation I'm having a lot because people are worried about offering higher and higher. If it's like within thousands, like every $10,000 that you put down only changes your payment by $50 a month. Yeah. So a lot of times that's a conversation that we're having with people is it worth a dinner out to have this house? And people are like, oh yeah, if you put it that way, if you put it that way.
Most people spend that on Dunkin' Donuts every
week,
right?
It's like, I don't want to lose this house over $10,000.
Yeah.
So if you break it down like that, it just sometimes makes people feel a little bit better about it.
Right. So you've built this business. You're everywhere on social. We'll talk about that in a minute, but you're still, a lot of people will build a business and they'll extract themselves and then they've got people in a team. You're still right in there taking cuts every day and doing the loans and doing all that. How does that play out with regard to driving this ship and how's that all work?
Yeah, so I guess in what you just talked about, how I talked about building a team, right? I did this conference with about 600 brokers and I spoke for an hour and I was super nervous because I'm like, why are they asking me to speak on this subject? Like, this isn't something that I'm an expert at. But I did just do it, right? And I did just go from juggling so many things and I was literally drowning, right?
Yeah.
To this point where I'm home for dinner every night, and I hadn't been home for dinner every night in a really long time. Yeah. And I had 3 small kids. This is the reality of it is in my first 5 years in my business, I had 3 babies. 3 kids,
I remember.
Right? Yeah. So I was pregnant or nursing or newborn for 6 straight years, meanwhile, doubling my business every single year.
Crushing business.
Yeah. So it was a crazy, crazy time, but I knew I had to put that into it.
Yeah.
So now when you're building a team and figuring out, where you're going to be involved in it, like I had to ask myself, like, what do I like doing, right? What am I really good at?
Right.
What could someone else maybe not do as good as I do? That's the origination part. That's the part where I'm structuring the loans. I'm talking to the clients. I'm building those relationships.
Yeah.
I'm doing all of those things. I'm having that communication with the agent. I'm doing the important things of the loan. And that's what I love doing. And that's why I do this.
Things that you weren't willing to give up, or you really see the value of you doing that.
Right. But then there are things like chasing verification of employments, scrubbing the tax returns, doing,
We don't want to do that.
Right. But these are things that are so time consuming, right?
And you've got somebody that does it.
Right. Yeah. Like I knew opening this that I'm not HR, I'm not compliance, I'm not payroll, I'm not tech, I'm an originator.
Yeah.
So if I hire someone to do those things, I can be the best version of me and the best for my business so that we can continue to grow. Right. So that's really kind of how I determine it. And I think it's the same thing with so many real estate agents, so many, people in every industry, honestly, that kind of feel like they're drowning. But I'm the type of person that people always used to say to me, like, you don't have to close 400 loans, Skylar. You don't have to do that.
You don't have to
and
climb the mountain.
Just don't do as much. I'm never going to be that type of person.
Yeah, you and I are the same that way.
Yeah.
Like I've had in my contracting business, just get these feelings of just overwhelm.
Right.
And
right.
like you sit down to do something and then bling, 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 and you go, okay, shut off notifications.
Yeah.
Turn the phone. I need 2 hours to do this, and then the phone rings and something's going on. Something blew up on a job site. And off I go.
Exactly.
And I had my day all planned.
Yeah, but you can't, in our industry, you can't plan your day. And that's something
gone.
I've accepted for a long time now is like, I don't plan my day. I have things structured in my day that I have to make calls and I have to do this. But in between all of those, I have to fit all these other things. And that means I might work late and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important just to realize that like, if you try to be everything, it's going to hinder your growth.
Right.
And that's kind of where I got to is that
You're a bottleneck.
Yeah. And I knew, and I was bottleneck. I was to the point where I knew I wasn't able to give the same level of service to everyone that I want to, because I couldn't keep my head above water.
Right.
And once I saw that service, just as far as like, if I don't call you back in 5 minutes, like there's a problem. Like I don't ever I'm never going to be like, oh, I'll call you back in 24 hours, 48 hours. Like that's not how I work.
Right.
But I want to always be able to do that. Right. So now I knew that I had to put people in these positions to do that. And, it takes time to figure out the right fit for who they are. And I have a really, really great team now. Like really good.
You have an eye for talent. You've got, what's her first name? Blake.
Maybe.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And which you work as your nanny.
Yes.
She's in here now working in your business because you were like, you know what, kid?
She's a winner.
You got something on the ball. You're a winner.
Exactly.
You're coming with me. And she's over there in the corner office.
Yep.
And working here at the mortgage company.
Yeah, and Vanessa, who's my my right hand, she's one of my childhood best friends. And for years, I would say like, I literally would be like, "You're perfect. Like this is the perfect position," because she's everything I'm not. Right? Like she's super organized. She's so detail oriented. She emails me 4 times a day and is like, "Hey,
you got to do this.
You don't forget this." Like she sends us updates every day. Like bullet points of everything. That's what I need in my life because that's not who I am, right? So
I think that's important. You've filled the circle, the pie chart, if you will, with the pieces that either you don't like or you're not good at. And
exactly.
Being able as a leader to identify that, I think, is huge.
Definitely, and it applies to any business. It really applies for any business, And once I did that, my life has changed. My time with my kids has changed. My marriage has changed. Like I realized that all of those things were struggling. My health, like I wasn't sleeping. I was barely eating. Like I didn't even go to the bathroom. Like things like that. Like you realize like, oh my God, like I haven't eaten in 2 days. Like
you can
it's
sleep
crazy.
But not be getting rest.
Yeah. And I was not sleeping. I would work until 2 a.m. every day, and then I'd be so like, because I've been working till 2 a.m. Then I couldn't fall asleep, and then you start over, and it's just not a good cycle. And once you get to that point and realize that that's kind of where things are. And my husband looked at me and said, like, we miss you, I don't ever want my kids or my husband to feel like they miss me, right? Like, I'm here.
Years back.
Yeah. And I was also doing all of those things. Like, if they had a field trip or they had a lunch at their school, I was going to all those things, but then I wouldn't be home. Then I would be home just to like kiss them goodnight,
Go back to work.
Yeah. And I just didn't want that to be our life, So So when I started Maine Pointe, I promised him that I'd be home 3 nights a week for dinner. And I don't think I've missed dinner since.
It's going well.
Not once.
Yep.
So it's huge. But also my team knows that, right?
Yeah.
My team like wants this for me. Like we went to Aruba a couple weeks ago and I didn't open my laptop. Like that.
That's good.
That's real life.
Yep.
You know, I hadn't taken a vacation like that in 9 years, right?
Yeah.
So, but they want that for me just as much as I want it for myself.
Well, you want it for them too, because they see
definitely.
that that's important to you. And,
exactly.
You make sure that they get out the door and take their time as well.
Exactly. And family's super important. And I focus so much here on building a company culture that people want to be a part of. And I celebrate like all the little wins, all the big wins. Like the people upstairs always will like come in and be like, you guys like always have a party here. It seems like you always have a party. Like we're always having lunch, we always have balloons, we always have celebrations, because this is a stressful industry, right?
Yeah.
This is a grind. Like we work so hard that it's important to recognize when
take
things,
a break.
take a
breath.
be like, hey, you killed it this week.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that I think is super important. We do fun things like pie eating contests, like
that you won.
Always win. I will always win. No one's ever going to beat me at it. But like, you know, you have to show them who's the boss, right?
You gotta go big on stuff like that. Let's switch gears for a minute.
Yeah.
One of the things, and I've actually called you and talked to you about this as it relates to my business and what I'm doing and what Mitchell and I are doing, shooting video and being on social and personal branding and all that stuff. But you, to me, like you have been right out on the front end of that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool that when you started, and I don't know if it was right when you started, but you brought Mick in.
Yeah.
And you've got
First hire.
she's got a guy sitting in this office, full-time, marketing. Everything you see on social gets created here.
Yeah.
She's out there, she's talking about what they do, how to do it, what you need to be able to pre-qual. You're just puking information all over, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But you're educating, you're
Definitely.
inspiring, and you're entertaining people. And they say if you can do those 3 things in a video on social, you've got gold, right?
Yeah. I mean,
so tell me about like why you thought that was important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how did it go then? How's it going now? What has it created for you for opportunities and growth?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of crazy. So when I made this transition, my very first hire was Mickey. He's a videographer. He's amazing. He was like literally my very first hire.
So time out.
Yeah.
You started a mortgage broker business, and the first person you hired
was a videographer. Yes. And everyone was literally like, what are you doing? They're like, you need processors, you need assistants, you need this. I'm like,
you need this and that.
And they're like, you are a high producer. Like, why are you hiring a videographer for your first hire? I'm like, one, I need everyone to know how to find me.
Right.
I need everyone to know. I've just left somewhere I've been for so long where that was an identity for me.
Yeah.
And now I'm creating a new identity. I need someone to help me create this new identity, right?
Sure.
One.
Mission number 1.
I knew that I wanted to be relevant. I wanted to be able to provide as much value to my network and reach as many people as I could on a high level. And I knew if I tried to do that, it wouldn't be consistent.
Yep.
And the biggest thing with social media is consistency. If you're not consistent with your social media, you're not relevant, right? So I knew that I needed someone to make me consistent with it.
Yeah.
3, I wanted to be able to provide so much value for my referral partners, right? So one of my main goals and my vision and my dream that I created in my head before I did all this was that I wanted to be able to create video content for my real estate agents. Not just for real estate agents, honestly, insurance agents, title companies, whoever.
Those are your connect sessions, right? You do those
we do so many things, more than that. We go out and shoot listing showcases. We go out and shoot them on a boat, just skiing down a mountain.
You're paying for it, sending your guy.
Sort of. I mean, it's yes. I mean, there's no cost for any of it. But Mickey's an employee of mine. It's more just a.
It's marketing.
Yeah, it's just a value add for our agents, and it's for any agents, open to anyone. It's not closed. There's no strings attached. It's not like we ask for anything in return. It simply is like
exposure.
We have really like an abundance mindset.
Yep.
The more everyone is doing, the better it is for our community, for our industry, for everything.
Right.
So we want to provide this value to anyone and everyone. We've done it for local businesses. We do it for nonprofits. We do it for literally like insurance companies, title companies, anybody. anyone, honestly. It's just a value add.
Well, and it's like anything else. If you just focus on helping others, it usually comes back to you tenfold.
Right, exactly. And part of that is like, I love helping others. And I love, like, we do a big backpack drive. We do a big food drive. We sponsor families for Christmas. We want all those things. And I knew I wanted someone to be able to help with that. So Mickey helps with all of those things. You know, that's really where the mindset came, was that I wanted to be able to provide value for people, anyone in our community, to help them grow their businesses while also growing ours and being consistent with our social media. We do a lot of fun things. We're real. You know what I mean? And show that we're real. Show that it's not like you're not calling some robot. Like,
transparency.
Yeah, like Mickey came in on my desk, like literally put his drone into my office the other day, and I had so many papers on my desk, and all of them just went like flying everywhere, stuff everywhere. And then he posts it, and I was literally like, that's what happened. Like, unexpectedly, a drone just flies in, and everything goes shooting everywhere. But you know, it's real life. And also as part of my team, like, it's something that I want my my team to be able to grow their businesses. Like, I want them to get exposure. So it's really not just about me or even Maine Pointe. It's a bigger picture and an abundance for our community.
Were you comfortable doing stuff like this before you started doing that, or did you have to grow into it?
I would say no.
Yeah.
I would say the more and more you talk, the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of weird with things. Like, I don't ever shoot anything twice, and I don't ever watch my videos. I don't think I've ever watched any of my videos, and I don't want to do it again, because it is what it is. Like, this is the real thing. Like, I'm not trying to be perfect. I don't think about what I'm going to say before. I don't write anything. You get what you get. Like,
we do the same thing, and I'll turn Mitchell, turn that friggin' thing on, you know, and we just go.
We were just in the office, and we were just, I don't even know what we were talking about, but kind of crazy. And Blake's like, this is what we need to be recording. Like, this is where the good content comes from, right? And, you know, so many of our, actually, like, our blooper reels and things like that are the most watched and the most shared, because people are like, I freaking love this. Like, because it's real, you know, and it shows your personality. And that's what I want my clients to know, is I want them to understand my personality. I want them to know, like, I'm a mom at the baseball field, like, running here, going to my car, doing a pre-qual, and then going back, and then trying to figure out dinner and all these things. Like, real life, you know?
I've had customers say to me, we're comfortable with you because we watched all your stuff. We kind of feel like we know you already.
Exactly. And you kind of get to the point now where people see me sometimes, or people, even people, like, see my husband, like, you're Skylar Welch's husband, right? And I'm like, this is so weird. Like, literally, a girl like yelled to him in the airport. It's like, Brian, and then they're like, hi. And it's like, what? And, like, people come up to the grocery store, and it's like, oh, are you Skylar Welch's husband? It's like, that is so strange. You know what I mean? But social media. It's social media.
Yeah. And the scary thing about that is, and I've done, like, blogs and video stuff before, but what's scary is there's people watching that don't necessarily comment.
Yeah.
You don't know are watching, but you're having an impact on their life. Or there's that guy that's like, I'm going to do this, but, you know, he's watching your stuff. You don't know he's out there. And then when he's ready to go, boom, he's there because of all that stuff you laid down.
And that's what's so important about the content that we're sharing is my goal is, like, I don't care if you're ready now or you're going to be ready in 5 years. I'm going to help you get there. Right.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, if somebody's sitting there and they're watching this, they're like, I don't even know if I'm ready to pre-call. What are the few things that they need to have in order, or even have with them when they come in here to talk to you?
I mean, the important thing is, like, so many people are scared because they don't think their credit's in the right place, or they don't have enough money for the down payment. Like, guess what? The majority of people that come to us don't have any money in their bank account, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not there yet, you know? But if you don't start looking at it now, you're never going to be ready. And if you don't think your credit's in a place now, it's never going to be in a place. So most of the people, like, say someone comes to me and their credit's not in place, I may be able to help you get your credit there in 30 days, 60 days, like, really quickly, because I'm helping you put your focus where it's actually going to matter. Where people are like, oh, well, I paid off my car and I paid off this, but yeah, you have 3 maxed out credit cards. You paying off your car did not help anything, but they thought that it did.
Right.
You know, so if we really take, I really take a holistic look at it. Like, I'm going to show you everything you need to do to get yourself in the perfect position. And maybe you don't need cash money down, because you can qualify for a no money down program. Or we have a great conventional 3% down program for first time home buyers, but they're so caught up on thinking they have to save at least 10% or at least 20% that they've now missed that opportunity. And now as prices continue to rise, maybe they just missed that. So we really want to take a look at the full picture. And I really want to help people find not just what they're pre-qualified up to, but really help them find that purchase price and that loan program that's going to give them a comfortable monthly payment.
Right.
So they now have all of that information to go to a real estate agent confidently and be like, I'm ready, and here's where I need to be looking.
Here's my range.
And now the agent's like, you're on it, let's go. Where if they go to them, I haven't been pre-qualified, I don't know, real estate agent's not going to take them seriously and not make them a priority.
Well, and I'm sure it's better for the client too if the real estate agent knows that they're working with you.
Yeah.
And your reputation
Definitely.
for getting people.
I was just reading, we just got a few reviews, and I was just reading one of them, and someone made a comment like, Skylar's pre-qualification was good as gold because that's the reason, her name on that letter was the reason that they accepted our offer.
Right.
And I was like, wow, like, I never have thought of that. And I was like, wow, that actually means a lot to me.
Sure.
Because that's my reputation, right? And that was a super nice thing to read, but it's true, because if you have a pre-qualification letter from a Rocket Mortgage, they don't know who the heck they're going to be talking to. They know they're not going to get a hold of anyone. Yeah. So if they know it's someone local, they can walk in my office, they can call me on my cell phone. They know they're going to get communication and know we're going to get things done quickly and efficiently, then they're more likely going to accept that offer.
So, like, going forward, you're super goal oriented, right? Yeah, I gotta do close 300
extremely.
of these.
Yep.
So what else do you have for big fat hairy goals?
Yeah, I mean, I always have goals, right? I have so many goals, and I have this is the thing too, is this market is a very different market. So I always have I have personal goals. I have unit goals, volume goals, like all these things. But I've realized, like, especially this year, like, you have to adjust them based on what's going on.
Right.
Like, this year, my goal isn't going to be like what it was last year, because it's so different, right? It's a different market, low inventory, higher rates. It's different. But, I have a lot of personal goals. I want to own a wedding venue, right? Like, that's something I want to do.
That's out there. I mean, that's a right-hand turn from the mortgage business.
So I bought one.
So I bought one.
So I bought one like last week. Heard it here first, right? So that's a goal of mine because that's something that makes me happy. I think with goals, you have to not just look at, none of my goals are ever monetary.
Right.
I'm not like looking to make a certain amount of money. I'm more like looking to help a certain amount of families, and those are the types of the way I think of goals. But also, like, I want to do things that make me happy. So one of my goals is to be home for dinner. Yeah.
Well, and you back it up too, because I'm very familiar with your backpack program.
Yeah.
Because it's like backpack. All I hear about is backpack.
Yeah.
Like, all right, fine, take my money. Get some more backpacks.
Yeah.
And you were loading hundreds of them.
Yeah,
out
we
here one day
were,
when I was
and
here,
but those are the things that fill my cup, and that's the thing, is that when you grind so hard and you work so many hours, you have to do things that make you happy too.
Well, and I think it's important to note too that, just it's your nature, or maybe just the kind of person that you are. You're the kind of person people can get behind. You're a leader, and so you're an implementer and an instigator, and you make things happen.
Yeah.
And so people, not everybody's like that, but they look for someone like that to hitch their wagon to.
Yeah, and I think I'm looking for more people like that to join my team, honestly. And I think when I see someone that's a winner and that is motivated, driven, like, I confidently feel like I can teach you everything else about this.
Sure.
But you can't teach someone drive, and you can't teach someone motivation. And this industry is such a self-driven, self-motivated, because honestly, you can make as little or as most as you want to make in this industry.
Well, interestingly, this business, say, versus real estate. Let's say a young kid 22 gets into real estate, or financial planning. People are like, well, you're a kid. This business may be a little bit easier because it's really more about what they know and how they treat people. Yeah,
and it's a very big relationship business. And I like to, the last few people I've hired, like, I've brought them in and I keep them on a year, 2 year, whatever they honestly want, as far as they can assist me. They can sit in my office and listen to every conversation.
Get their feet wet.
They can be CC'd on every email. And then I encourage them to build their own relationships. I have an employee salary right now, and we have a sales meeting every week, and I give her ideas and things.
Sure.
Go build your own realtor relationships. But I'm not going to set you all to the wolves and say, okay, you're on it.
Yeah.
I'm going to give her time to build those relationships up, teach her how to build those relationships, let her nurture those relationships, And then when she's ready, she's going to be really, really ready because she's been working on my loans in my pipeline for the last year or 2 years or however long it will take, while also helping me with my business. She's learning how to grow her own business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only way to do it because it's hard. Like I'm at the point right now where I'm like, do I hire someone already in the industry? Because first year, my entire goal was to build the team.
Right.
I needed to build the team that could handle high volume, that was really good at what they do, that knew what they were doing, went through all the training, like got their feet wet before I brought anyone else in.
Yep.
You know, because I'm still the only originator here, right? So till I bring someone else on, I'm toying between like, do I hire someone already in the industry or do I hire someone that has nothing that I can teach them?
Right.
It's really about finding the right person. It has to be the right fit of someone that wants to do it, wants to put the time in, that's hungry for that.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, that's crazy. So a while back you had hip surgery. How's the hip?
I did. It's terrible.
Terrible. That's too bad.
Well, I had hip surgery. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I was laid up for 9 weeks. I
remember, yeah.
I had it on Wednesday. I wheeled a recliner into the office and was back in the office on Monday. Had a desk built over it, had to be reclined. Had to get help up and down from my recliner.
Can't imagine why she's successful.
But I'm going in for an MRI in a couple weeks to see if I have to have surgery again.
Really?
Yeah, it's not going so well, but I guess that's part of it. I mean, it's been hard. It hurts, and I don't know. I'm hoping to have some relief pretty soon.
Yeah. Well,
I'm getting old.
I know. Well, tell me about it. I'm a lot older than you. It doesn't get easier. You hit 50 and things stop breaking. So, keys to success. Like, somebody might look at you and go, "Wow, she's got a mortgage business. She's an overnight success, right?"
Yeah.
And you and I know that's not the case.
Yeah, I think that's so true.
What would you say to somebody that if you had said 3 things that they could focus on, keys to success? I know one of them for you has just been outwork everybody.
Yeah, and I was just saying this to someone the other day because they asked me kind of a similar question. I'm like, I just work very hard because they're like, they made some comment about how it's like an inspiration. I'm like, I just work hard, and that's kind of like, I feel like always like my automated response because I'm not like smarter, better, this or that than any of these other people, but I work hard, and I thought about that. Like when I was in 8th grade, I said I was going to be valedictorian in my high school because I won full scholarship. Like that was my goal.
Right.
I didn't want to have any student loans. Like,
Yep.
I was a 12-year-old that said I didn't want student loans. That's normal, right? I mean, I don't know. That's what I was thinking about. Because I didn't come from a family with all kinds of money. Like I knew that if I wanted to go to college, like I had to pay for this.
On you, yeah.
And I didn't want any student loans. So in 8th grade, I made that as a goal for myself that I was going to be valedictorian in high school. I know for a fact I wasn't the smartest kid in my class, for sure. But I know that I worked harder than everyone else.
Yep.
And I was valedictorian in high school and I didn't have any student loans. Goal check, like that. Those are just kind of things. Like we were at my son's birthday party this weekend and I pulled out my old snow cone machine. This is a fun story. And I actually feel like I was just telling them I wanted to like do a story on this. But when I was, I don't know, maybe like 8, I don't know how old I was. My dad bought me a snow cone machine, like an industrial snow cone machine. Yep. He built me a cart, like push
Put
cart.
you in business.
And he would load up the car. He bought me 6 flavors, and he'd load me up into his trailer, and he'd drop me off at the Little League games by myself, right? And I would sell snow cones for $1 a piece. I don't think I ever made less than like $80 or $100 per game, right?
Wow.
Yep. Really did it. When I was 16, I'd saved enough money to buy my first car from selling snow cones. When I would go to every Little League game, fairs, like I'm from a little tiny small town, like we'd have festivals.
Right.
I'd be pushing down the cart. And recently, like some of the interviews that I've had, or people like posting some things on me. A couple people from my hometown have been like putting, I still remember that little girl pushing that snow cone machine.
You still got it?
Yeah, so I just pulled it out this weekend and had it at my son's birthday party, and I hadn't pulled it out, like
Did it
literally
work?
Worked like so perfectly. And Blake had taken a bunch of pictures of me like doing it. I'm like, we need to post these and put a story about like that's where my career started.
Well,
slinging snow cones.
Yeah, and I noticed on your Instagram page it says entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I didn't say mortgage broker.
Yeah, and you know that's the thing, is that it's all about like making it, and that's how I feel about this wedding venue that we're about to embark on, is that the industry's hard, you know, and when the market's down and I'm not closing as many loans a month, or, you know, there's not as much inventory out there, like I want to have other revenue streams. Like
right.
I'm passionate about like planning parties. Like that's what I like to do. Like I have an art degree, right? Like I'm a mortgage broker with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree and an art history minor. And I wanted to be a wedding planner.
These birthday parties I see on Instagram.
That's where I take it out.
Yeah.
That's where I like get out, is I plan my kids' elaborate birthday parties. But I'm like, realistically, like I want to have more, like be able to like live out my passion, right? So it's something I want to do. So we're creating this venue that we'll just rent out, but that's just going to be another income stream. And I think that's, you have to pivot. And that's what we're doing right now, is we're pivoting a little bit. Like my focus is 100% here, and it will be always be 100% here. But just having another, you know, another stream of income will be great. And same thing with like when I work with a lot of clients, I personally have bought several investment properties. I can give that same level of advice and guidance to other people looking to buy investment properties, because I do it. I have a 4-unit, I have an Airbnb, I have a single family, like I have these properties that I rent out, and they all pay for themselves. And that's part of what I do as a mortgage broker, is I help people kind of have that financial freedom, right? Where I now have 5 mortgages that all pay for themselves. None of them I'm coming out of pocket with, because they all have, you know,
cash flow.
They all pay for each other, really. So that's something else that we, you know, when you're taking the full look at a picture and asking someone, like, what are your goals? Like, I'm not just saying, like, oh, you want to buy a house. Like, really, what are your goals?
Well, you're not just talking to people about doing it. You're actually doing it, too. You're building your own.
Exactly.
You know, get the term, but you're
like a portfolio.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people don't, you know, when they work with a client, it's like a one-off, right?
Yeah.
They just work with them, write it off, never think of them again.
Yeah.
When I work with a client, like I'm going to help you with every transaction of your life. I want to help you buy your first home. I want to help you buy your camp when you decide you want to have a second home.
Home in Florida.
Yep. I want to help you buy your house in Florida for an investment property. I want to help you refinance when rates are drop. I want to help you refinance when you need cash out to pay off debt or put an addition on, or like I did, I took a refinance on a house to buy an investment property. So I want to help you with every step of that process. But in order to be able to do that, you have to give a client that experience that they want to come back to.
Right.
And that's what our focus has been so much, is giving them that experience that they want to come back to, that they want to continue. We don't just like pre-qualify and you don't hear from us. I'm sending you a card full of confetti that says, congratulations, you've been pre-qualified.
Yeah.
I'm following up every week to see if you need anything. I'm checking in once you're under contract every single week and giving you an update on the process. And then after you're closed, we're sending you a gift. We're calling you. We're checking in. I'm sending you your tax documents at tax time. I'm sending you your Christmas card. I'm checking in every year to see how things are going.
Staying in touch.
Yeah.
Minding the gap.
Exactly. And that's what sets us apart.
It's not rocket science, is it?
No.
So I mean,
basics.
Somebody that's sitting here is like, oh my God, this girl's just got it going on, right? So
Crazy.
You gotta have a bad day once in a while.
Yeah.
How do you get through them?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because in February it was. I mean, I was telling you before we started this, like we pre-qualified almost 300 people in January and February, but February we closed 9 loans. Like,
yeah, I'm always seeing you. Hey, we closed 30. We closed 50.
Like
whatever.
it was crazy.
So 9's low.
I haven't closed that many since I started my career, really, in 1 month. And I was very down. I was literally like, oh my God, like what the heck? But at the same time, I was like, we're working so hard. Like we've pre-qualified almost 300 people in January and February.
Doing the work.
That's crazy, right? So I have all these buyers, but there are 4 listings in the biggest city in our state in the month of February.
Makes it tough.
They're going cash. They're going, there's all these other things. So I had to kind of take a step back because I was getting very frustrated. And I'm like, what? And then Mickey took this video of me ranting without me even knowing. He's like, I'm going to show this to you in May, okay? Like when you're going crazy, I'm going to show you this video. And he pulls it out whenever we're like crazy. But I have to kind of ground myself with that. It's it's not always crazy. It's busy. We're always busy. There's never a time that we're not, but it's not always 100 freaking things happening at all times. And I've kind of started to learn, I need to embrace those slow moments, embrace those downtimes, embrace those times where it's not as crazy, and spend that time with my kids, celebrate my staff, send them and do something fun with them. Take time to be hey, you've been working so hard these last couple months, go get a mani-pedi next door. Like whatever the case may be, like sometimes you have to embrace those moments. And that's, I think, something that I didn't do before. But also when the times are slower, that's honestly a lot of times when I work the hardest. Because when things slow down, that's when I'm like mining everything, right? It's like, okay, who could we potentially do? Like we have to reach out to all these, like set up meetings every single day. Like, so it's just like flipping that mindset,
clients,
you know?
Previous clients.
But yeah, I mean, when I'm feeling like that way, I think I just double down. I mean, that's kind of how I feel, is like when I'm having those bad days, when I'm feeling like stressed or frustrated about things, I'm like, all right, we just gotta work a little harder, right?
So
like,
some people might just throw in the towel or kick back and pout. You actually just step on the gas.
Yeah, and I think that is what you have to do. Like I'm on a lot of like national broker groups, and a lot of them are just like complaining, like slow, it's inventory. It's like those are excuses. Like, yeah, we're all going through that. Like, right?
Figure out a way to be successful in that market.
We all have those. So change what you're doing, right? So I was feeling that way. So what did I do? I started broadening my footprint. I started going to areas that I don't do business. But guess what? I'm doing business there now. Yeah. And I wasn't doing business in Penobscot County. I wasn't doing business in parts of New Hampshire.
When you say you go there, what does that mean? Define that. Do you
build relationships with the agents in those areas? You know,
so reach out.
So I hired Blake. She's going and physically going to these places. I'm physically going to these places. We're making these calls. We're adding value to these agents in other areas that we didn't have a presence before, but now we do.
So you plant some seeds, and then all of a sudden next week, someone from Penobscot County calls and says, "Hey, I want somebody pre-qual."
Yeah, because the thing is, like when I was working so much in my little bubble, my bubble is full. Like there are so many real estate agents, there are so many lenders, there's no inventory, there's this, there's that, there's all these things. Go outside my bubble a little bit, make a bigger footprint. Yep. I'm licensed in Florida now. I'm licensed in all of New England now.
Yeah, and unless you're really tapping all of Maine,
right?
One could say, well, "What are you doing in Florida? It's all right here in front of you, right?"
Right. So you know, it's just choosing the right people to have those relationships with. Like I don't have relationships with every single person, but I'm not the right fit for every single person.
Good point.
You know, and that's kind of what you have to realize.
How much of your business is in the other 4 states?
We're definitely closing deals in the other states every month. The majority of our business is here. But for example, like I originally got licensed in New Hampshire because I would have clients shopping in Maine and New Hampshire. And then I was referring out if they decided to go in Maine after doing all the work for them, if they decided to go to New Hampshire when I did all the work for them. So I was like, why wouldn't I just get licensed there? And then I had a lot of clients that live in Massachusetts that would say to me, hey, like I want to buy a second home in Maine and I want to do a cash out refi on my property in Massachusetts. Oh, okay, I can do both. Right. You know, and then I have so many snowbirds. They want to buy a place in Florida and they live in Maine. Okay, I'll do both. So, and then I kind of, I'm actually the only vetted VA professional in the state of Maine, which means I've gone through extensive training, extensive testing, all these things to be able to provide the best service for veterans and the best rates and the best loans and all of these things. And I noticed that there are no vetted VA professionals in Vermont or Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. Boom. Guess what? Now I am, you know? So now I'm getting all those deals because not so much as like I was doing it to get those deals, but I was doing it so that they would have a resource in those states. Right. They can call me with their questions. That can be a resource for them to ask what they need to ask, but also be a trusted professional in those states so that they can know that they can come to me and I can help them, because there are a lot of national VA lenders that take advantage of the veterans and try to offer them much higher rates with much higher fees, and we don't do that. So I really did it so that I could be a resource.
Well, crazy. I get tired just listening to you because you just full on.
I know,
girl.
It's crazy.
You don't even, I think you just lean in the corner to sleep at night, right? You don't even jump in bed.
I crazy. Like I literally can't even fall asleep at night. So I have to like take melatonin. I'm like, I can't shut my brain down. I'm like, did I call that person back to over that person later? This like that's kind of how my mind is.
It's crazy.
Or I have like 3 kids in my bed.
Yep. What's your next move here? I mean, if you're going to add one person tomorrow to this operation, who would it be and what kind of a role?
I would hire a loan originator. Yeah, our team is ready. Like our team is like well-oiled, can handle high production. Our team is like ready to give a loan officer that maybe isn't getting a great experience with their current person that they're working for, or isn't getting a streamlined process, isn't able to close loans really quickly, isn't able to offer competitive rates. Like I'm looking to bring someone on that's looking for that type of environment, while also having someone that's super supportive, wants to coach them, wants to have a fun environment that's like up and coming, modern, like we're in it, you know? And I think that that's really my next move, is I'm looking to hire someone that's going to be another me, really, you know?
Well, how does that person get a hold of you?
So many ways. Follow me. Just kidding. Yeah, I mean, we could probably...
Sky Closes Maine.
Sky Closes Maine. SKYE Closes Maine is on my Instagram.
Yep.
Skylar Welch at Maine Pointe Lending on my Facebook.
Maine Pointe with an E.
Maine with an E, Point with an E.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, email swelch@mainpointelending.com. Any of those things, you know, like that's definitely has to be our next move now that I feel good about the team we have in place.
So last question. Yeah, I mean, you a lot of people, you got guts. I mean, you're a risk taker. You're out there
Or
doing
crazy.
it. When I first met you, you were working for a mortgage company,
Yeah.
doing your thing, and you were branding yourself. But you, at one point, you took the leap. What would you say to somebody that's right where you were, not loving what they do, or you know, not loving who they're working for, or feel like they've got in them what you have in you? What would you say to that person?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I loved where I was. I was happy where I was. I worked for great people, like all of those things. Like I just was at a breaking point where I needed help. You know what I mean? So that was kind of the difference with me. But I say do it. Like, I mean, I tried. Like I don't get anxious about anything. I don't worry about anything. Like everything will work out, right? Like that's my mentality.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
that's important to point out, because if somebody's dealing with anxiety or they're not a risk taker, maybe stay where you're at.
And I also like think of things like I'll figure it out. Like that's how I think of it. And I think you kind of have to have that mentality a little bit, because I opened Maine Pointe Lending in October of 2020. Does anyone remember October 2020? Like pandemic central? And it was seriously pandemic, like in the middle of it. People are like, what do you mean you're like opening a mortgage company? I was like, it'll work out, but I'm going to make sure it does.
Worst case, you can always grab a time card and go zzz, zzz, again for someone else, right?
Well,
you can always get another job.
And that's the thing. So many people always say to me, like, what if the mortgage industry dries up and everything goes automated? Guess what? I'll do something else. Like, and that's how I feel. Like, I don't feel like this defines me, and I know that I can be successful at whatever I do. And I think that that's a mentality some people have to have, is you can't be closed-minded in a way that like, well, what if it doesn't work? Figure it out, you know?
I feel like if I picked you up out of the mortgage business and set you down over here in the whatever it would be, venue business, or I don't care, real estate broker, or even something that's not like this, I think you would thrive.
Yeah, and I think you have to have that mentality sometimes, though, is that if it's not going to work, you're the one that's going to make it not work, right? Okay, it's slow. Yeah, right now it's not so slow, but this winter it was slow. Okay, we're doubling down and making sure we're not going to be slow next month, right? And I think that that's the difference, is you can't sit back and let excuses take you over. You can't sit back and just be like, oh, like the phone's not ringing. Yeah. Well, what are you doing to make sure the phone starts ringing, right? And I think that that's what you have to do, is that if someone wants it, if you want something, anything's possible. Yeah.
It's interesting to talk to you, because I'm involved in a group called the Contractor Fight, and they do a lot of business coaching for guys like me, contractors that are just dealing with stuff. And so much I can't wait to show this to these guys, because so much of what you've said today is so much like what they talk about.
Well, I think it can go into any business.
Your perspective, your attitude, your work ethic, your expectations of yourself. I know you work on yourself all the time.
Always.
And so it's just pretty cool to hear like that stuff that I'm working on as well. But you're a lot younger than me, but you're way ahead of the curve. And I really view you as a pioneer in this business, not just because you're a female, but because you're just out, because this can be a man's world.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm sure you've kicked down some doors.
Yeah,
in the last 10, 15
I think
years.
Especially when I first got into the industry.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times people would say to me, how old are you?
Right.
Or can I talk to your boss?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I talk to your manager?
Yeah.
And even now, like, I think I have like a younger voice or something. I mean, I still am pretty young, but I'm not like
22, 29,
yeah.
26.
But when I tell people, I'm like, actually I have 3 kids, and they're like, what? What, do you have kids here? I'm like, no, like I'm not like a baby. But people still sometimes say things like that to me, like, or question me like, how long have you been doing this? And
all they have to do is listen to you talk for about 3.5 minutes, and they go, all right, sign me up, here's my stuff.
Just kidding. But no, like I get that a lot, and that's something I've had to, but that's why you have to work so much harder, right? And build a reputation, and that's what I've had to do is like let my reputation come before me, and then they can come, you know.
Well, and I think your social media game does that too, because I don't pick up my phone and not, there's Skylar talking about VA loans, there's Skylar talking about fixing your credit or whatever. So you're delivering things that people can grab onto and come in here and go, all right, this just becomes the natural place to go.
Definitely.
Because of how you put yourself out there. So.
I mean, even when I go to like these big national mortgage conventions and stuff, like it is very, very male dominated.
Yeah.
But I think that they're doing a lot, even on that, like to showcase the strong women in the industry.
Yeah.
And I was just on stage in front of 6,000 people a couple weeks ago.
That's pretty cool.
It was crazy. I literally was on stage right before Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
And I'm putting on my resume that I'm Tony Robbins' opener.
Why not, right?
Just kidding.
Now you can put on that you've been on Bob Turner's podcast.
Exactly. I'm just looking to add things. But realistically, like there were 6,000 people there.
Cool.
And I confidently walked on the stage when I wasn't nervous at all. Because I knew that
You know what you're talking about.
I knew that whatever they asked me, like I know I can provide value for that. And the amount of people like coming up to me, like asking me questions and emailing me and sending me things, like wanting to know more of that. And it's just because I'm in it. You know what I mean? I'm in this industry, and I'm in it every day. And I think that that's kind of the difference with a lot of people is they're not in the trenches every single day. And I'm always looking to grow and always looking to learn from new people. Like when I go to things like that, like I always bring things back that I implement into my business, because I think that something that's so important is that so many people are like, well, that's not how I do it. That's not how I've been doing this 26 years and that's not how I do it. And that's why I want to say, like, if you've been doing that same thing for 26 years, then it's not working.
If your answer is, why do you do that? Well, because we've always done it that way.
Exactly.
Then you need to check that.
Exactly. Like I'm always looking to change. I'm always looking to evolve. I'm always looking to be better.
I mean, think about it. The advent of social media, Instagram, Facebook has really come in your working life, has really exploded.
Oh, definitely.
So you think like when you're my age, what's going to be? We can't even sit here and think up what's coming out next.
So you always have to evolve. Like there's always new systems. There's always new technology. There's always new like ways of reaching out. But the reality is it's back to the basics, and it's being consistent, and it's being real, and it's having good service, getting back to someone, picking up your phone, answering your phone, calling people back. That's what it's all about, no matter what industry you're in.
Anything you just mentioned doesn't cost a dime.
Exactly.
Just effort.
Having a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking before I came in here about when we call clients, like we have a smile on our face.
I'll be honest.
Feel that smile.
Before this started, I walked in gritting my teeth about subcontractors, and she was over here. Oh, like that. I said, we need to make sure we smile before we turn the camera on.
But you know, people could feel that on the other end,
right.
And people want to work with people that want to work with them, and that's no matter what industry you're in, that's how you're going to be successful.
Yep. Well, good stuff. First of all, congratulations. I mean, I don't know if you ever stop to smell the roses or just kind of take a look around and go, you know what, I'm doing all right. You know, if you don't, you should.
I'm grateful for everything. You know, I really, really am. And I'm appreciative for every person and every step that's gotten me here. And, you know, I'm very fortunate that I work with amazing people. Yeah. I work with amazing, amazing real estate agents, you know, title companies, insurance agents that like have my back. You know what I mean? They want to be the best for me. And I know that, and they're so great for my clients. And it's the same thing with my team. Like my team is great and my family is great. And my, you know,
in a good spot.
You know, it's just you have to look at those things, and you know, you have bad days and you have bad weeks or bad months, and you're like, you know what, it's not all that bad.
Right. Yep. People, somebody's always got it worse, right?
Exactly. So. Very fortunate.
Yeah. Well, thanks for taking the time.
Of course.
We've been trying to connect here for a couple weeks.
I know, life is crazy.
And thank you for getting us back on track, because when I started this, I was like 52 times every week, and most podcasts only go 7 episodes, and this is like, I don't know, 15 or 16.
Oh my goodness.
We had a little hiccup there, but you're bringing us back on, and we got some other people lined up, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Guys, this has been I don't know what episode, maybe 15 or so of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, and we've been sitting here with Skylar Welch for the last bunch of minutes here, and just hearing her talk just about business and more importantly, life and how, how they kind of
Work
intertwine.
together, right?
Kind of the recurring theme in some of these podcasts that we've done is mindset and culture, work ethic, all the things you touched on without me even lobbing you a softball. So
Yeah,
it's interesting to when I interview these, you can call them type A people or entrepreneurs or winners, we hear a lot of the things that she just outlined. So it's pretty cool. Hope you enjoyed it. Check us out. We're on YouTube. You can check Skylar out as Sky Closes Maine on Instagram. That's
so
where
always
I
things
see.
on there.
Yes, SKYE Closes Maine with an E. Check her out on there. Give her a follow. She's done 637 posts on Instagram to date, and she's just continuing. If you're looking for somebody to model your social media game after, check it out. And if you're a young person looking to start a business, I know she'd take a call from you.
Absolutely, always.
But anyway, thanks again. I appreciate it.
you.
It's been a blast.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.